In this video, we're going to review the basics of lines. First off, let's talk about slope. So slope is your rise over run right here, so your change in y over the change in x. The important thing here is that if you have 2 points, let's say this guy here, x1, comma y1, and x2, comma y2, when you subtract your y's and your x's, just make sure that they are in the same order. So if you go from this point to that point for y, you should go to this point to that point for x. Next, let's talk about the 3 forms of equations of lines that you will encounter most often. So the first one is the slope-intercept form, so y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope, b is your y-intercept, and your x is your input, your y is your output. So you can take a look at this example here. We have a slope of 2, y-intercept is 0, 3, so that's y equals 2x plus 3. So 2 more forms are point-slope form, when you have a point that is not the y-intercept, and slope, you can actually plug it into this equation here, y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1, where y1 and x1 are a specific point. That's not the y-intercept, although actually this will work for the y-intercept as well. And you'll just plug in that information. You keep this y and you keep this x as it is, plug in the slope, plug in the point, and there you have it. Something else that works is standard forms. You have ax plus by equals c. You would still have that same information. You would have the slope and one of these points here, and it will give you that in that form. And you can manipulate any of these 3 forms to get any of the other 2, obviously. 2 more things here. We have parallel lines and perpendicular lines and how they affect the slope. Now I'm sure that you've seen this in geometry, but just as a refresher, if I have 2 parallel lines, they are going to have the same slope because they're never going to touch each other. And perpendicular lines are going to have opposite reciprocal or negative reciprocal, however you want to think about it, slopes of one another because they're going to cross at 90-degree angles. Now let's work through an example where we are asked to write an equation for a line that's perpendicular to 2x plus y equals 2, and it's going to contain the point -3, 0. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to transform this into slope-intercept form, because that's the form I'm most comfortable with. And so what I have here is my slope. So if my slope is -2, my new slope is going to be the negative reciprocal of that. So if I take the reciprocal, it's -1/2, but then if I negate that, it becomes just 1/2. So now I have the slope of my new equation. Next, I'm going to take the point-slope equation here and plug in my point and my new slope. And when I work everything out, I plug in this point, I'm going to end up with y equals 1/2 x plus 3/2, or you could have x minus 2y equals -3. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching.